Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Jesus and Coffee. I have an extremely special guest with me today. His name is... No, it's you.
Is it me?
It's you. It's David Gaulton. Yes.
Hey, and Mom.
Oh, look.
Leah,
there
Joseph.
They are. Oh, my gosh.
All the important people.
All the important people. Too. Yeah, you
and my sisters.
Yeah.
And everybody at the church.
We'll do like a
post
edit at the end
show.
for you can just like give all your stuff as the credits roll. Like we'll do that. Like that'll work. So we are here and we are coming at you and we are talking about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yeah.
We are talking about a problem actually that has divided churches and Christians all over the world.
Crazy.
And it's kind of a silly thing if you look at it from a big picture standpoint, but it is a problem and I think we should address it. And that problem is WORTHENTICSHIP.
WORTHENTICSHIP?
WORTHENTICSHIP. Let's talk about it.
All right.
Welcome to another episode of Jesus and Coffee, the place where we have a conversation about faith, Jesus, life, we drink coffee, and most of all, we have a lot of fun. So sit back, grab your favorite mug, and be ready to enjoy. Coffee. All right, so I've got my buddy here, David.
Yeah.
We are talking worship. Well, I didn't even say the word right. WORTHENTICSHIP. We just had a conversation about how I can't even say it.
That's a great word.
WORTHENTICSHIP. I think it should be in the dictionary.
I think it
or
is
at least
in the dictionary.
Wikipedia. We could put it on Wikipedia. I'm going to put it on Wikipedia now. WORTHENTICSHIP.
Do it. Look it up, everybody.
We just created it. Do you get any? Are there residuals for making up words on Wikipedia?
I think there is. There should be. I think you get 3 cents every time somebody says it.
Yes. WORTHENTICSHIP.
9 cents in your bank.
So one of the things that I've experienced, and especially David, being a worship leader, you've experienced a lot of this, I'm sure, where people in the congregation are out there and they're worshiping, and they either do or they don't like the style mostly. Either it's too loud or it's too soft or it's a hymn or it's not a hymn or whatever. And I think a lot of times that comes across where people say, well, this isn't really authentic worship because it's not my style of worship. Right. Have you ever had that experience where people have like literally complained to you to say, this isn't really worship?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Actually, one thing that's always been on my heart and my mind when I think about people that kind of bring up that question, it always reminds me, and I always kind of go back to is I feel like we've all connected with Jesus in like a worship setting that has been a specific style. And to me, I think we see that as authentic because it was authentic in that moment to us.
Yeah.
But then we also attach, hey, that was with that choir and that orchestra, or hey, that's just that one guy on the guitar at that camp that I was at, and that was that experience that I had, and that was an authentic moment in time, and it was so good. And I think sometimes we're always kind of seeking those moments with Jesus, and I think sometimes when we're kind of in a setting that's different, and maybe we're not so comfortable with that, it's like easy to just say like, oh, it's because of the style that I'm not connecting with God. But I think in the same kind of breath, it also reminds me that like, hey, I've connected with God in the past and maybe these other styles, but I don't think it necessarily means you can't connect with God, in different styles in the future. But I don't know if that makes sense. But
No, that's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Just to say it's your worship experience is tied to worship experience. And something I like to say is, it's okay for it to be tied to emotion. I think a lot of people, at least from people that I've talked to or have complained to me, and their comment is, you know what, that's too loud, or that's just not real worship, or it's just too showy, or there's lasers or fog or whatever. They're like, that's just emotion, that's not worship. And I think about that and I think, worship is emotion. You can't separate the emotion that you feel when you're connected to the Holy Spirit and you're truly authentically worshiping, to say that just because there's lasers or fog or something that's making you feel a certain way, that mountaintop experience that we talk about kind of at camps, I think, I don't think that is false, and I don't think that is bad. Yeah. I don't think we can live off of that, but I think having injections of that in our life, I don't know how we can stay up if we don't have those kind of emotional interactions. And I think that's what I like, especially with our church. I love the Sunday morning worship. Like I get excited about going to Sunday morning worship, just not even being part of the team, just being out in the congregation. Because there's a feel, I think experience is a good word for that. There's an experience when you come in to the sanctuary and the lights are down and there's lighting cues and there is some production to it. And I personally like that. I know there's a lot of people that don't like that, and that's okay.
I think that there are definitely things that I think that can be a hindrance in worship.
True.
I think if it is too loud, like literally it is too loud, I think it is a hindrance. Like I don't, I go to concerts sometimes, just like a rock concert or whatever. I have to put in earplugs because it's like I can't enjoy the music because it's just too loud.
Yeah.
And I think if people are walking into a church service and they feel like it's too loud, hey, I can totally understand that that's an issue. And like, hey, we want to work with our sound techs and different people to kind of minimize all those distractions.
Yeah.
I think sometimes though, we can use that as a crutch as well of why we're not, engaging when, hey, we want to do our best whenever we walk into a worship setting. And I want people to be encouraged that, at Friends Church or wherever I'm leading to, that, hey, let's get rid of all those distractions.
Yeah.
But let's really try our best to enter in no matter what's going to happen. Cause sometimes I'm leading in Mexico in the middle of, the dirt and there's a lot of issues out there too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not as loud, but it's, there's a distraction happening or the lights go out, the sound goes out.
Yeah.
And I think through all those distractions, we're there to worship God.
Right.
And so, hey, let's have the attitude of whatever could be a distraction. Let's really try to rise above that and just focus on Jesus.
Absolutely. And I think, at least in my experience, sometimes you said lights or the sound goes out. I've had experiences like that where the lights or the sound goes out and it's like, well, what do we do? And then just the acoustic guitar or the piano starts going. And sometimes in my experience, that has been some of the most authentic worship that I have felt, because it's literally, the enemy or whatever you want to call it is trying to shut this down because something good's happening. And then it just flips a switch and it takes it to another level. And I feel like if you can take that distraction that comes out of distraction, you could be like, oh, great, worship's ruined. Might as well go home, and just say like, no, this is like, we're in a moment.
Right.
Let's live in this moment. Let's experience this really. Let's have communion with the Holy Spirit, with Jesus right now and with each other, and build that community where we can say, look, do you remember that time? That was so good.
Yeah.
But without saying, I can't worship if it's not exactly like that last time.
Right. And I think something that's been on my mind too recently is that sometimes it's not even about the distractions. We can kind of blame the distractions, but it's really like our insecurities that are keeping us from worshiping.
Totally.
It's like,
agree.
Like if you're insecure to lift your hands, or because I remember, years ago, I'd be like, I don't want to lift my hands. I feel like I want to. I want to like surrender to God. I want to lift my hands. I want to clap, or I want to do this, but no one else is doing it.
And like, there's David. He's raising his hands.
There he is. But and I would have like the fear factor too of like, oh, I know that person over there. I wonder what they would think about me and things like that, where it really becomes, it's not about you and God, but it really becomes like, hey, this is, I'm kind of being intimidated right now from my peers or the people at the church or whatever. And not that anybody's trying to do that, but it's just like, it's kind of an insecurity that I had to deal with. And I just remember, kind of having to process that over time with the Lord, that like, God, I want to worship you in a way that is, unhindered, that is really real. Like if there was no one watching me, like how would I really want to respond? You know? And that could be like, hey, and during this fast song, I want to sit down because I'm not ready to worship yet. Or, but I don't want to think like, oh, well, other people are going to be watching me, and so I better stand up and start clapping, and I think that's where we can kind of lose our way.
Totally.
Is
agree.
If we are more worried about what's happening, like what are other people thinking of us in a sanctuary or in a worship setting, than kind of preparing your heart before God,
Totally. I think that's huge kind of in everything, but we're so conditioned, I think, especially with, I don't want to get like political and talk about technology stuff, but with social media, everybody's putting out their best face, right? For most of us. So there's always this,
it's just more prevalent in our culture right now.
Yes, it's more prevalent. And I think when you get into a worship setting, if you're thinking about what are all the people around me thinking about me, which they're probably not even paying attention to you, because they're having worthenticshiip by themselves with Jesus, or
they're either worthenticating.
Yes, that's the other one. Wikipedia, here we come.
Authentic worship.
Yes, so they're worthenticating. I don't know if that one worked. Well, whatever. Okay, or they're thinking the same thing that you are. They're thinking about what other people are thinking about them. They're not thinking about you. They're not looking at you and they're saying, oh, look at them. They're not really worshiping. Or, yeah, like you really, I know what you did like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And there,
No
you
one's
can't be
doing
in.
that.
No, but you're afraid that they are.
You are afraid. I'm afraid.
You're afraid that
I used to be afraid.
Yeah. Well, and at some point we all look around and think, what are they thinking about me?
Sure.
When I'm down there and my eyes are closed and my hands are raised and I'm just in that moment. I'm singing loud and I'm right behind somebody, or there's somebody behind me singing really loud. And I'm like, man, would you stop? Yeah. As opposed to just shutting it out and being like, I'm going to just worship. I'm going to go and do this thing. So, but I think that's kind of something I think I've experienced in a lot of churches where there's a divide where it's like, you need to do traditional hymns and stick with the way that it's always been done,
right,
as opposed to progressing to not cater to a younger generation or a different group of people, but at the same time, you have to pick a genre. You have to pick some sort of direction that you're going, because if you're doing a different thing every week, you really don't get connection to the people that connect with that certain style.
Yeah, I mean,
genre.
my thought on that is, I think the worship team, the leader, whoever is kind of selected to kind of create that culture, they really need to be honest of for themselves. Like, how would I personally respond to God and say thank you? How would I personally respond to God and give him praise this week? You know, how would I personally want to lead this congregation, which, you know, hey, taking into consideration, you know, like, where are we from? What is the region we're from? Like, what are the times like? And authentically bringing a sound and a voice to worship that relates to them. And maybe sometimes it is visiting the past. It is kind of taking some of the things that we've done in the past, because that is authentic as well. And it reminds us of where we come from. But at the same time, it's also looking like, well, what is our voice today? You know, and how would that sound today? You know, and not trying to just live in the past. Like, we want to remember, we want to honor, we want to celebrate what God has done, but we want to live like God is doing things now. He's doing things in this moment, and he's fresh, he's alive, he's living, he's in our lives, you know. And I think that's how we want to represent worship, you know, whenever we stand on stage, whenever I get up there, it's like, I want to, like, what do I want to say to Jesus, and how would that come out if no one told me how to do that.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. And then you get that feeling of like, it's a day where like, man, I just don't feel like worshiping, but you're on team and you're on stage and you have to figure out a way, at least with my experience, when I'm feeling that way and I'm just like, man, I'm tired, or I've had this issue and I'm dealing with it. And I get up there and sometimes, you just do it because you're going through the motions, but then, you know, a song or two in, that's when I really feel like it picks me up, and then I'm able to let go and just be like, oh, this is what I needed. You don't think you need it, and then you get into it and you're like, oh, this is what I needed.
Right.
And then your day's like amazing.
Yeah, even for me, like being a musician and a worship leader, like when I'm at a different setting or even at the church and I'm not leading, I'm always like, I'm seeing everything, you know, like, oh, why is that happening? Or why is this happening?
All the details.
Yeah. But it's amazing to me. And I think it's really God's grace and his mercy, I think, to us, that like, I just noticed that like, if I don't let those things kind of rule my mind in that setting, there'll be a moment, like a song or two in, where something switches and it just always just becomes about Jesus. And like, it doesn't matter who's playing the drums. It doesn't matter who's up there singing the song. It's like, it's really about me just worshiping the Lord and coming with my family, whoever I've come with, to like, hey, let's just really thank God in this moment for who he is and his faithfulness and what he's done in our lives, you know? And I just love that, how in his grace and his mercy, he kind of helps us flip that switch. And it's like, hey, it doesn't matter about these other things. Like, let's just come and like, I want to know you, David. I want to like come and kind of wrap you in my arms today. I want to come and celebrate with you the good things and comfort you where you're hurting and stuff like that. And so I just appreciate that about like God. He's more faithful than we are, you know,
hands down.
Right? Like,
if God was like us, we'd all be screwed.
Right.
Like, we would have no hope.
It's like we might walk in and kind of be bummed out, and but then he's like, no, I've been waiting for this.
Hey, we're good.
Hey,
like,
this is
like,
good. I'm glad we're here together. You know?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Do you want to talk anything about like, because I know you write music, and when you're writing a worship song, is there like a certain Like, do you have to get in a mindset, or is there a certain way that you like to do that? Or is it just kind of, it comes on like inspiration?
On my end, I think it kind of goes both ways. One, to keep writing, it's a discipline like anything. Sometimes you feel inspired, sometimes you don't, but it's just like, hey, I want, and I feel like I'm called to write songs for the Lord. Write songs for the church, and that's a discipline. I think there are moments where it's like incredible inspiration and the song just comes right away. You know, there's a couple songs I can think of, like the song Meditations of My Heart that I wrote way back. And I remember it was just on my heart that the psalm, like, may the meditations of my heart, you know, be pleasing to the Lord. And I just remember like going into my bedroom and like I wrote the whole song in like 10 minutes.
Whoa.
And I just like wrote all the lyrics and then I just sang it. And that's been one that's, I feel like, has connected with like probably more people than I can imagine, but it happened like that fast. And there's other songs that's just been taking like years to write. And I think that's kind of, it kind of goes in and out. So it's not necessarily just one way, you know? But one thing I love to do is think about who am I writing for? Like, where is this going to be, you know? So if I'm writing for French Church, or if I am like, hey, I just want to write a prayer and sing it to the Lord, you know? There's just different kind of criteria of kind of the way I might kind of frame things, or maybe the way that I'll spend time on things just because of who I'm writing for. I'm like, hey, if this is for the church, I want it to be congregational, maybe have it kind of more broader themes. But if hey, is this just a prayer with me and God? It's like, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to sing and worship, and like,
if it connects with people, great. If it just connects with me and Jesus, then awesome.
And that's all worship.
Right.
Too,
it's all worship.
Like, so as a songwriter, that's
good.
It kind of flows with that. And I like the kind of that flexibility, you know, where it's not always just needs to be one way.
Yeah. There's nothing that's really actually only one way, right? There's nothing that's that way. All right. Well, I really hope that this was helpful to somebody. I hope that this was something to say, maybe, look, don't show up at church or wherever you are worshiping, and don't show up and start criticizing people that are on stage, because first of all, we all know what happens when we assume, right? If we assume something about somebody, nothing good can come from that. Yeah. If you don't know somebody's actual heart, because it's all a heart thing. Worship is all about authentic worship. Worthenticsship is coming from your heart, and you can't necessarily see that from the outside. You can't look at somebody and say, oh, they're worthenticating. Yeah. You can't.
Yeah. I mean, my hope would be that we would walk into, you know, a church service or wherever we would go, even if it's like at a big worship concert or something like that. And I think if we have those thoughts, you know, it only can negatively affect us, you know, but I think we just got to come in with like a heart that is grace-filled, that heart that is like actually thinking the best in others, and saying like, hey, well, these are the people that God has put in front of me for this day.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just like, I just got to trust that God has the right people there, and he has a hold of their hearts, and it's kind of up to him. But, you know, hey, I'm going to bring my best as a worshiper, you know. I even think about, even I'm standing up there as a worship leader most Sundays, most weekends. And, you know, when I look out and see people worshiping, that helps me worship, you know? And I think, I don't think people really realize that either. It's like because we come in and do this as a fellowship, as a communal experience, there's so much, it could be so positive if we just really bring our best, every weekend and every time we're worshiping together, you know, because I just remember there's so many times I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm helping the people worship, you know, as best as I can, but then I can see somebody out there that's really praising and worshiping and kind of going for it, and it helps me. It gets me like, you know what, like, let's keep pressing into God. Let's keep asking him to come and do what he does in worship, and he's worthy no matter, you know, kind of whatever situation we're coming from. Right. So.
Well, he's so much bigger than our problems. Yeah. He's so much bigger than our insecurities, like you were talking about earlier. Yeah. And it's, you know, we do what we can, but let God handle it. Let God deal with that stuff. Man, he's so much better than us.
He's so awesome.
God's bigger than the boogeyman. I'm just telling you. Junior from VeggieTales told me that a long time ago. David, thank you so much for coming. And
My pleasure.
Hopefully we do this again soon because I think
tomorrow
you're an excellent guest. Tomorrow? Yeah.
Am I an excellent guest?
Clear my calendar. You're an excellent guest.
You're the best.
No, you're the best.
No. Jesus and coffee is the best.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Jesus and Coffee. Remember to subscribe on YouTube and on iTunes to the podcast so you can be updated on all our most recent episodes. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, I love cheese.
Cheese. Mac and cheese is my favorite.
Hi, Todd. I'm just really glad that we're here together.
Thanks for coming, David. I think it was really fun.
Thanks for coming, David. Really appreciate you being here and drinking my mug. Alfred made you Cinnabon coffee.